So, this is considered the worst Harry Potter movie? I'm sorry, what? I am not going to agree with that for a second. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. I'm such a fan of the animation. Welcome back to Legends of Literature. And welcome to another hot take, because apparently this is a movie that a lot of people don't like. But I do. A lot, actually. Is it better than Order of the Phoenix? No. But is it a great time? Yes. Let's talk about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Before we even start the review, though, I do need to give some nostalgia gloating here a little bit. Because there's another thing with this movie that personally holds a really special place in my heart. And that is the video game that this came out with. That I had on PS2, and I played the ever-loving crap out of it. Like, I love the Half-Blood Prince game. Like, aside from the Lego Harry Potter games, that was the one I played the most. It was the Lego games and Half-Blood Prince, the video game. I played Goblet of Fire a few times, but it wasn't really my thing. I played the Game Boy versions of Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, but I couldn't really get into them because they had way too much weird mechanics and stuff that didn't really jive with me. I've never played the console version, so I can't speak on those. And then, again, I already talked about the version of Goblet of Fire that I played for the PS2. It's a good game, but it is definitely a bit nagging. So, and I never played the Order of the Phoenix game, but I did get ads about it up the wazoo, and I still get ads about it up the wazoo whenever I watch this DVD. Because for some reason, starting with, I think it was either Goblet of Fire or Order of the Phoenix, we started getting the ads of the video game tie-in for these movies with the DVDs themselves. Heck, if you go way back to Sorcerer's Stone Chamber of Secrets, if you get the special edition DVDs, you get extra little videos and stuff. Heck, even some PC demos of the Harry Potter games. Really interesting, if you ask me. However, I'm one of those people, again, that didn't really have many Harry Potter games because I was more about, stuff like this, right? I was more about stuff like this. So this was my childhood, and I had just had a few Harry Potter games. I had 1 through 4 and 5 through 7. I had both the Lego games as well as the DS version of 5 through 7. And I had Goblet of Fire and Half-Blood Prince for the PS2. And Half-Blood Prince was my first experience with a movie tie-in game. Yes, before I played literally any other movie tie-in game, that was my first one. And it actually was a pretty good game. Like, I had a really good time with it, and I never understood why I got so many bad reviews. The gameplay is fun. You can go around exploring areas that aren't in the actual movie to some interesting effect. You can play Quidditch. You can explore Hogwarts. Is it a little bit linear? Sure. Is it giving you, like, the freedom of something like Hogwarts Legacy? Absolutely not. But it's a lot of fun. Seriously, check the game out if you haven't already. I believe it's available on PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, and Xbox, original Xbox, not original Xbox. What was it? Shoot. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but the point is, if you haven't played the Half-Blood Prince video game, check it out. It's actually pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to stop messing around and get to the actual movie review itself. Because this has always been one of my favorites too, up there with Goblet of Fire. I have always loved and enjoyed Half-Blood Prince, and I'd argue it's actually one of the funnier Harry Potter movies, because there's a lot of really goofy scenes in here to help contrast the building darkness of the main plot. Like, it's a lot to explain, so let's go ahead and dive right in. And this is actually one of the shortest plot summaries that I've found so far, so very interesting. So let's not waste any time and just dive right in. Voldemort is tightening his grip on both the Muggle and Wizarding worlds. Hogwarts is no longer the safe haven it once was. Harry suspects that dangers may even lie within the castle itself. But Dumbledore is more intent upon preparing him for the final battle that he knows is fast approaching. Together, they work to find the key to unlock Voldemort's defenses into this end. Dumbledore recruits his old friend and colleague, the well-connected and unsuspected Bonviviant, hope I'm saying that right, Professor Horace Slughorn, whom he believes holds crucial information. Meanwhile, the students are under attack from a very different adversary as teenage hormones rage across the ramparts. Harry finds himself more and more drawn to Ginny, and so does Dean, and Lavender Brown has decided that Ron is the one for her, only she hadn't counted on Romilda Vane's chocolates. And then there's Hermione, simmering with jealousy but determined not to show her emotions. As romance blossoms, one student remains aloof. He is determined to make his mark, albeit a dark one. Love is in the air, but tragedy lies around the corner, and Hogwarts will never be the same again. Yeah, confusing summary, I know. But I hope the plot synopsis will help make a little more sense. Before the school year of 1996 and 1997, Harry Potter, now age 16, went with Dumbledore to the home of Professor Horace Slughorn. He was hiding and agrees to return to teach potions after some coaxing from Dumbledore, and hiding as a chair. And I think... You know what the hiding in chair thing makes me think of? It makes me think of Bone Steel's attempt to hide as a chair in one of the episodes in Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. That's a silly, stupid reference, I know, and it has no connection, but that's one of the other things that I think of when I think of someone hiding as a chair, for whatever reason. Have that little fun fact for you today. Continuing onward now. Dumbledore fixes the damage in the home. Later, he takes Harry to the Burrow, where Harry is again reunited with his best friends Ron and Hermione, as well as Ron's sister Ginny. And, Dumbledore does something a bit mean to Harry, because after they apparate away and Dumbledore drops Harry off at the Burrow to be with the Weasleys, he drops him right in the water. Like, dick move. Really, really dick move. Harry states that he believes Voldemort made Draco a Death Eater. Ron and Hermione are skeptical. On the train, Hogwarts Express, Harry eavesdrops on Draco using the invisibility cloak. He lies on the baggage shelf, hoping Draco doesn't notice. Once the train arrives and the students, including Ron and Hermione, exit, Draco uses Petrificus Totalis on the invisible Harry, having spotted him earlier. He pulls off the cloak and stomps on Harry's nose, breaking it. Then Draco covers him, saying, "Enjoy the ride back to London, that was for my father." After Draco's gone, Harry's close friend Luna Lovegood rescues him with the Finite spell. This ends Draco's curse, and she's able to find him due to his head being full of rack spurts. Which apparently, according to her, hides in your ears and makes your brain go fuzzy. And they both walk to the school. Later, Dumbledore announces that Snape is now Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher due to Slughorn resuming his position as the Potions Master, meaning that Snape finally got what he wanted way back in Sorcerer's Stone, becoming Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. But for actual reasons, explained later on, he doesn't really care anymore, and has a different objective. He explains the students were searched when they entered because safety, now that Voldemort is powerful again, is more crucial than ever. At school, Harry and Ron have to borrow the needed textbooks for Slughorn's potion class because they don't have their own yet. Harry's copy is inscribed on by the Half-Blood Prince. This owner has annotated the book with additional instructions, spells, and recommendations that allow Harry to excel in the class. Dumbledore shows Harry memories of a young Tom Riddle in the orphanage he was raised in, using the Pensieve that they introduced back in Goblet of Fire, and reveals that Slughorn retains a memory critical to Voldemort's defeat. Ron becomes keeper of the Quidditch team and forms a romantic relationship with Lavender, leaving Hermione disconsolate. Hope I'm saying that word right. Harry consoles Hermione, revealing that he now has feelings for Ginny. Okay, I need to comment about this because this is one of the only things in the movies that bugs me. Harry and Ginny have no chemistry. Like, none. Their romance feels forced, derivative, and out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Harry and Hermione's actual relationship is actually well developed here, and it's all building up to make you think that they're going to end up together. Because, Harry consoling Hermione when she's having jealousy with Ron, and a bunch of other scenes from the other movies where they're together only, more specifically, like in Prisoner of Azkaban. But for some stupid, baffling reason, Harry now has the hots for Ginny. Which, makes a little bit of sense because Ginny had the hots for him first in the earlier movies, but Now it makes no sense because it wasn't hinted at, not to mention he kissed Cho Chang in Order of the Phoenix, the movie that followed right before this one. But now, for some reason, Harry and Ginny are an item. What in the actual hell? That is forced, that is derivative, and that is terrible writing. And then Ron and Hermione ending up together also makes little to no sense. Like, I'm not saying that Ron should date his sister. No, that's disgusting. But I mean, like, I don't get why Hermione chose Ron and not Harry. And this is arguably even more infuriating about this when they shared together in Deathly Hallows Part 1. Again, the movie that right follows after this event where apparently Harry's falling for Ginny and Hermione's falling for Ron, and neither relationship makes any damn sense. Like, it's laughably bad. And I can understand why people ship Harry and Hermione, because it's the relationship that makes far more sense. Whereas Harry and Ginny have no chemistry, and their entire relationship feels forced and contrived. So, yeah, that's the thing that definitely pisses me off with these later movies, that they took everything they were building up with, like, Harry and Hermione, and they just throw it out the window. Like, they throw it right out the window like it never even mattered. That's one of the only things I can say that actually legitimately pisses me off when I watch these later movies. But it is done so poorly that it becomes laughable. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I do like Ron becoming a member of the Quidditch team, though. That's actually really cool, especially with him becoming a keeper, even though we never really see Oliver Wood again. Think about it. We only see him in the main two movies, and then after that, he's gone. Like, he was nowhere to be seen in Prisoner, and he was nowhere to be seen in Goblet. My guess is he might have been one of the really older students and ended up graduating after Chamber, but who knows? Maybe it was just a cut from the books. Who knows? I haven't been able to read the full Half-Blood Prince book because that thing is somehow even longer than the Order of the Phoenix book that took me a year to finish. And I'm a fast reader. That says a lot. Anyway, getting back on track now that I'm done ranting. Harry spends the Christmas holidays with the Weasleys. On Christmas Eve, Bellatrix and Greyback set fire to the burrow, pretty much burning it to the ground. Yeah, that's pretty crazy to think about. It's something from our childhoods that we remember vividly from watching Chamber of Secrets and seeing bits and pieces of it from the other movies, but now, in this movie, it's gone. It's destroyed. That is a big change. Back at school, Ron is nearly killed by poisoned mead, a drink originally intended for Dumbledore. While recovering, Ron murmurs Hermione's name, causing his breakup with Lavender. Harry confronts Draco and severely injures him with a Sectum Sempra curse that he took from the textbook of the Half-Blood Prince. And I mean severely injure. Like, he is bleeding hard. Like he was a slasher victim or something. It's dark and hard to see. It is hard to watch. Then Snape enters, and after Harry leaves, heals Draco's wounds with his own spell. Vanara Cementu. Vanara Cementu. Fearing the book may be filled with more dark magic, Ginny and Harry hide it in the room of requirement and share their first kiss. Blech. Harry succeeds in retrieving the memory and learns that Voldemort wanted information for creating 7 Horcruxes. 2 of Voldemort's Horcruxes were already destroyed. Tom Riddle's diary destroyed in Chamber of Secrets, and Marvolo Gaunt's ring, which apparently was destroyed off-screen. After discovering the possible location of another Horcrux, Harry and Dumbledore travel to a seaside cave where Harry is forced to make Dumbledore drink a painful potion that hides one of the Horcruxes, a locket belonging to Salazar Slytherin. A weakened Dumbledore defends them from Inferi, a bunch of water goblins, and they apparate back to Hogwarts on the Astronomy Tower, which they had left, where Bellatrix, Greyback, and Death Eaters have entered with Draco's help through a vanishing cabinet, which we've been seeing developed all throughout the movie in extra little scenes, and also shows that Draco, while he is a bit of an evil son of a bitch, he's not a complete and total monster, because he starts having regrets of all these things that he's done. makes you actually like him more, surprisingly. Dumbledore instructs Harry to hide as Draco arrives, revealing that he had been chosen by Voldemort to kill Dumbledore. Dumbledore lets Draco disarm him of the Elder Wand, thus causing the headmaster to lose mastership of the wand to Draco, and Draco tries to kill the headmaster. However, he's unable to bring himself to do it, out of, having an actual conscience. And Snape soon arrives underneath, telling Harry to be quiet, because Harry was about to shoot Draco from under the floor. Then he goes upstairs and casts the Avada Kedavra curse instead, killing Dumbledore and blasting him off the astronomy tower, where he also falls to his death. Yeah, this is when everything shifts, because now that Dumbledore's dead, Headmaster falls to Snape, meaning that Snape betrayed the Order and did all these extra things, and now he's back to being the Death Eater he once was. And now Hogwarts is under control of Voldemort, meaning it is no longer the safe haven that it used to be. That is dark. And it's pretty much setting up the big final war to occur in Deathly Hallows, which we'll start talking about tomorrow, don't worry. Harry attempts to curse Snape when they tried to set Hagrid's hut on fire, and thankfully Hagrid was not in there. But Snape is overpowered. Well, Snape overpowers Harry, excuse me. Before escaping, Snape reveals to Harry that he is the Half-Blood Prince. Harry returns to the school along with Hagrid to find the staff and the students mourning Dumbledore's death as they stare at the corpse. Harry walks up to the body and strokes Dumbledore's hair, takes the locket they had recovered, and puts his hand on Dumbledore's heart as Ginny sits beside Harry and comforts him as he cries. Because this was like his surrogate father that he just lost. And just like he lost Sirius Black only a year ago, now he's lost the one person that's guided him through pretty much his entire life, meaning that now he is on his own. Dark. So dark. Hermione starts crying as well, and soon McGonagall and Luna, Ron, Pomfrey, and everyone except Harry and Ginny raise their wands to the sky to make the dark mark in the sky disappear temporarily. Harry later reveals to Ron and Hermione that the Locket Horcrux was a fake. The locket contains a message from R.A.B., stating that he has stolen the real Horcrux with the intent to destroy it. Rather than return for their final year at Hogwarts, Harry, Ron, and Hermione vow to seek out and destroy the remaining Horcruxes in order to destroy and defeat Lord Voldemort once and for all. Pretty much setting up the big final war to conclude the entire franchise in Deathly Hallows. And that's the story of Half-Blood Prince. It's actually a bit more condensed than the past few movies, and I still think it works really well. Slughorn's a great new character. I love his scenes with Harry. The big reveal about the secret of the Horcruxes is a huge reveal. And not to mention, it's full of a lot of really pivotal moments to play out throughout Deathly Hallows. And it all started with the death of Dumbledore. While I cried a little bit more, arguably, watching Sirius die in Order of the Phoenix, this one still definitely got me. This is Dumbledore, someone we've seen in all the movies and thought would never ever go. And especially as someone who didn't read the books as a kid, aside from the first two, this hit me hard watching it the first time, seeing Dumbledore die from the one person we thought we could trust, Snape. And the way it actually all plays out later, and how Dumbledore actually planned for all of this to happen, only adds more sting to it. Especially the big final relation that's revealed in the final part of Deathly Hallows. So, it's dark, it sets up Deathly Hallows, it sets up the big final war, and it's pretty much Harry, Hermione, and Ron exposing themselves from Hogwarts to finally end Voldemort once and for all and finish what Dumbledore had started. And I think the big reason why people love to bash on this so much is because of all the silly, goofy scenes that are thrown in there as well. Like the first potions class with Slughorn and the students is played mostly for comedic effect, and then you have the romance stuff, which is just overdone in my opinion. And like I said earlier, the relationships themselves make no freaking sense. And then you have some other scenes, like when Harry is at this dinner that he was invited to by Professor Slughorn, and then he and Slughorn make jokes of all kinds. And then he also goes to a dance that Slughorn is organizing and has a joke where someone who's trying to get with Hermione eats Dragon Balls. No, I'm not talking about the wish-granting orbs. I'm talking about real Dragon Balls. Make it out what you will. And then you have the scene where Harry's trying to figure out who to bring to this big dance, and he ends up bringing Luna, which I think is cute. I mean, I don't ship the two, they're better off as friends, but it's cute. And then there's also the other thing before that where Harry's trying to figure out who to bring, and Hermione thinks that Romilda Vane's crushing on him, and then she thinks it's just because he's the chosen one. With Harry answering back that he is the chosen one, leading to Hermione taking the piece of parchment she had in her hand and smacking him in the head with it. Like, there's some comedic moments in here, but I don't think they ruin the overall story at all. I think it adds a nice bit of levity, and there's some really funny scenes in here. I especially love the scene where Harry drinks this little potion he won from making this drought revealing death later in the movie in the potions class, and he gets all happy-go-lucky and cheery and acts like he's on adrenaline or something, and it's so funny. So, yeah, that's the story of Half-Blood Prince. I think it's great personally, but I can understand why some people may have a problem with it because of all the goofy moments that are thrown in between all the serious stuff. But I mean, you have to have some levity. This was the big penultimate chapter before the end started, so you can't really be that mad at it, guys. Especially after how overwhelmingly dark the final two movies in this series are. Like, Deathly Hallows rarely has any funny moments. So this was like their big final hurrah for funny moments to help ease the viewer a little bit, add some levity. And I think it works here to great effect. I think the comedy in this movie is great. Like, I already mentioned Hermione smacking Harry on the head with parchment, and Dumbledore being an asshole and dropping Harry right in the lake in front of the burrow instead of at the front door. Dick. And then there's also the Quidditch practice scene where Hermione uses a spell to make sure that Ron gets the job over this other guy that Hermione, that's trying to get her with Hermione, the one that eats the Dragon Balls later. Like, there's comedic effect moments in this movie, and I think they all hit really well. So, yeah, sue me. I like the comedy in this movie almost as much as I like the serious actual story in this movie. And I think it's great. Deal with it. Alright, now we have our cast. And I think the only one I have to actually really point out here is Jim Broadbent as Horace Slughorn. Also known as that one guy in a bunch of British movies that you can never remember voicing said character. Like the forgetful Santa Claus in Arthur Christmas, for example. That was him. And here, I love him as Horace Slughorn. He's a goofy character, but he does an amazing job with the serious moments when they come, and it's great. So, yeah, I love Horace Slughorn in this movie. He's a great character. And then I think that's about it for the new people, right? Because everyone else is just returning people from the previous ones. Alright, here we go. Alright, now let's see if we can find any trivia. Very unlikely, but we're going to see. Because I think there was trivia when we looked at Order of the Phoenix, so maybe, just maybe, there might be someone here. And obviously there's a bunch of changes to the book, which, like I said, I may or may not just do its own separate video on, because there's so many differences. So, yeah. Behind the scenes. Mistakes, box office, release date. Okay, I think we'll just do some behind the scenes stuff. Because this section's nice and short. The faint whistle that is heard whenever a spell, enchantment, or charm was being used in the film adaptation of Azkaban was heard for the first time after Azkaban when Dumbledore put the Muggle's house in which Slughorn was hiding back in order. This is the only film in the series, except Deathly Hallows Part 2, that shows us events from the previous book. The first scene at the Ministry of Magic, following the death of Sirius Black. Helen McCrory, who plays the role of Narcissa Malfoy in this movie, was originally chosen to play Bellatrix. But she had to back out of the role due to her sudden pregnancy, so she ended up getting this role instead, while Helena was cast as Bellatrix in her place. And rest in peace to Helen McCrory, as I believe we've lost her within the past few years, so rest in peace. Emma Watson was originally not going to return to her role as Hermione in this film to finish her schooling. That's reasonable. In an early script page during the scene at Surbiton Station after Dumbledore apparates in, while he and Harry are staring at a sign advertisement, Dumbledore says to Harry, "I once knew a muggle girl from Liverpool with hair like spun silk. No light could resist it." But obviously this line was not in the movie, and instead he talks about how Harry's been reckless. This is the first film in the Harry Potter film series to receive a PG rating in the United States since The Prisoner of Azkaban. However, it received the equivalent of a PG-13 rating in all other countries. Which is weird. It's arguably the darkest chapter up to this point, so I don't know why it's suddenly PG and not PG-13. Which I think they might have fixed in subsequent things, but I might have to double check my DVD copy to know for sure. And finally, Rupert Grint revealed during a Q&A at the German Comic-Con Half-Blood Prince was originally intended to be split into two parts, like what would later happen with Deathly Hallows, but the idea was eventually scrapped. I don't know why they didn't just split it into two parts, because that would have ended up making WB a lot more money, but I guess they just really wanted to get to the conclusion. Because they knew that's probably where all the money really lied. This film was the top grossing film at UK cinemas in 2009, taking £50.7 million, closely followed by Avatar. I'm glad Avatar lost somewhere. Then we have a bunch of release dates, world premieres. Yeah. But I think we can take a little bit of time to talk about its box office here in the US. Harry Potter Half-Blood Prince box office. As with all the previous films in the franchise, Half-Blood Prince proved to be extremely successful globally, with an estimated non-US total gross of $632.1 million, totaling approximately $934.5 million worldwide. Wow. That's crazy. But I want to know how much it made specifically in the US. Let's go to Box Office Mojo. Let's see. It's domestic opening. Domestic opening. Let's see. Where's the United States? United Arab. It's not showing. That's a bit weird. Ah, here it is. It's right here. Domestic. Domestic is another word for USA. $302,334,374. Interesting. And apparently it was released 2 or 3 different times. Huh. Interesting. Alright, so that's the box office, that's the story, that's the acting, that's the characters. Now for my overall personal opinion. And like I said, I love this one. I will never, ever understand the people that hate this movie. Well, I mean, if you are one of those people, I do respect your opinion, but I cannot really see your opinion. That's the problem. Me personally, I really love and enjoy this movie. It's a great time. It's the penultimate chapter. The ending is an absolute showstopper if you haven't read the books. And then it still has some nice comedic moments thrown in with great writing, great characters, superb acting, and pretty much everything you love about all the other Harry Potter movies. Yes, I will admit, maybe it was just a little bit too fast paced, and the comedic scenes, as much as I love them, do break that pacing up a little bit. But like I said, I think it's for levity from the overwhelming darkness, which we don't really get much of in Deathly Hallows, so I don't mind it as much, as probably most people do. In my opinion, Half-Blood Prince is a fantastic movie, but I can definitely say it is not as good as Order of the Phoenix or Goblet of Fire. It is a little bit of a drop-off, but it's not really all that noticeable. I really enjoy Half-Blood Prince, and I will never, ever be able to find myself to hate it. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a fantastic movie that sets up the incredible high note that this series went out on. So, with all that said, I'm going to be giving Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince a final verdict of a slightly disappointing, but still well-earned and very well-respected and well-deserved 8 out of 10. It's slightly not as good as the past 2 movies that came before it, but still a great time, and I definitely recommend you give it a watch. Well, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow when we start the end with Deathly Hallows Part 1.